Hey, everybody. Welcome back, or welcome if this is your first time tuning in. I am Captain J.
And I'm Sunny D.
And we're the
Pot
Pot-Smoking Moms. Thank you so much for following along on our podcast. If you like our content, please rate, review, subscribe, share our content. Make sure you're following us on our social media pages. Check out our website. Hopefully, we'll be doing something on there soon. And yeah, welcome.
Yeah, welcome.
So,
What's up?
everybody likes that sound. You know what this sound is?
The doob tube.
The doob tube opening up.
Either you got someone to roll you one or you rolled a few before the show.
Well, I got something for my smoke sesh today. I got some Modern Flower PDW. It's a hybrid. What do you got?
Cool. I've got some Miami High Life. What happened?
It was open.
Coffin candy. Like there's no joint in there?
There is, but it's not twisted.
Oh.
It wasn't twisted properly. So when I went to pull it out, look at it. I guess we shouldn't show that, right?
Okay. It is what it is. This is real life.
It was real. Who did not twist the doob?
Yeah.
Somebody missed a step. Some little shaky.
It reminds me of that crunch wrap at the Taco Bell when they didn't put it in the envelope.
Oh, when they didn't
threw it in the bag.
They didn't put it in the.
Yeah. So I got a little coffin. What is it? Coffin candy from Miami High Life.
Nice. Coffin candy. I saw that on his menu.
It's good. This is the end of it. This is the last of it. I've smoked it all.
All right. Time to light up.
If you got it, pack a bowl, roll one up. You could pause this if you like.
Yeah. Whatever you need to. Join us in the sesh. Let us know in the comments. What are you smoking? What are some of your favorite strains? If you're not smoking right now with us, I'm sorry. I understand.
Okay.
Sometimes you're not in a location where you can be enjoying the smoke with us. A tolerance break? Yeah, one of those. My tolerance breaks are when I sleep.
Or when I'm pregnant.
Or when I'm going on a vacation that I can't fucking take weed with me.
Like going on a cruise.
Yeah. So speaking of, I am going on a vacation real soon. I leave Friday to Rome.
Nice.
So I leave on Friday to Rome. I'll be there for a week. I come back for one day, then I get on an airplane again and I go to Chicago. And then I'm there for 3 nights. And then I come back again and I'm here for like 4 or 5 nights, just a few more nights. And then go to Tampa to get on a cruise to go to Mexico.
Nice.
So I was thinking about starting a little series in the stories and be like, where in the world is Captain J today?
Yeah, for sure. I'll be interested.
A picture. Be cool if I could be smoking a joint in every picture, but I doubt it.
Ambitious.
Yeah, I already started looking up like how can I find weed in Rome, And they do have like dispensaries out there, but it's
clubs, right?
No, that's in Madrid. That's like in Spain. But in Italy, it's not legal. Like the clubs are for like CBD, low THC flower, those kind of products. So I was like, do I just walk in there and be like, you know where you can get the real stuff?
Show me where your top shelf, please. Yeah, like let us know how you do it, where you find it.
Remember Yarema? We had him on the show. He's always goes to different countries and he's always finding weed in them. I feel like hitting him up. Where do I go in Rome?
Yeah, how do you?
He even made a joke on one of his videos recently that he should create a service that helps you get connected with weed anywhere in the country because he's been all over the place.
The green pages. Yeah.
Yeah. So
that would be pretty nifty service. I guess it's Weed Maps, sort of.
I guess, yeah. But Weed Maps, is it global? I've never looked at Weed Maps outside the US.
I don't know. Me neither. That would be... They should have jumped on that fucking shit then. They haven't. But,
So because in honor of all the traveling I'm doing and it being summer, there's a couple travel stories coming up a little bit later.
Yeah, we always, talk about traveling with weed when we're not supposed to. So
last time I went to Rome, I took weed with me.
Did?
I did.
I mean,
I was like 20 something. I was in my 20s. I was going with my whole family. I just rolled myself like 10 joints. and put it in my toiletry bag with all my Q-tips, and I got through. I made it
Yeah,
there, and it
nice.
helped us out because there was like a bug going around on the tour because we're on a tour with a bunch of people,
Mhm.
and slowly everybody started getting sick with like diarrhea and vomiting. And the first one in the family to get sick was my brother. And that night, or the second night that he was sick, I was like, oh, I have a little bit of, whatever. And he smoked a little bit of it. He's like, oh my God, I feel so much better. He's like, why isn't this legal?
Yeah.
This shit made me feel so much better. Nothing's been making me feel better. And I'm like, I know.
I know. Because they're weaponizing it against us. That's why. Well, it's graduation season because we're ending the school year, and so that's kind of been my weekend this past couple of days and whatnot.
Your
My
little
kid
one
turned
graduated
5. Yeah,
VPK.
she turned 5, and then she graduated VPK. It was so cute. I wish the electricity worked. They had an issue with the electricity. They were like kind of pushing things
Wow.
off a little, trying to solve it, but it got really hot. Then it started raining.
That can't happen in
Then
Florida.
there was another graduation coming in after us, so we had to take the gowns off the children and
Give them to the next kids?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, 2 graduations, and then at night, my my cousin, my husband's cousin's kid, he was the ring bearer in our wedding. And I just can't believe, like, he was
And
so
now he's
cute
graduating high
and
school.
little, and yeah, and he's a big stinky man, teenager, graduating. But I was so proud of him, and graduated at the top of his class. I'm like, good, you're a good role model for these
your kids.
next generation that's gonna be going through school. So it was cool. Yeah, my kid was such a jerk at the graduation. They invited us to the graduation. I know what it's like to have to schlep kids around, and I know that a lot of times in graduations they're like, "Oh, you can only invite X amount of people." So it's like, cool, like, we're not gonna go because the little one. Yo, sure enough, they got tickets and they invited us last minute. We went. Gosh, she was just yelling, sitting there. I'm bored, and I'm just like, girl, trying to entertain these little kids. I mean, look, it was boring. Graduations.
Graduations are boring.
They're really boring. And then when they gotta call every motherfucker, luckily his name starts with an A, so we were able to get on in the beginning there.
So you left after you saw him walk? You didn't stay to the end?
We stayed. It was practically the end, but at that point, we were like, "Fuck this, we gotta go," because my kid was just not having.
Yeah,
it.
my maiden name was an A name, and now I'm a V name.
Yeah,
I'm like on the opposite end of the alphabet. Now
it's
I
same for
wasn't used to
me.
waiting.
I switched to the front from coming from the back.
Yeah, I wasn't used to waiting, and now I gotta wait.
Yeah, no, yeah, right. I mean, it's like, oh, this is great. I get shit over with quickly. Call my name real fast. Thank you. And now that they're in school, the same thing's happening, and I'm like, good. Front of the class. There you go. But yeah, look, I'm glad that's over with too, though, because and I don't even do the most. I was like, oh, I should have brought like flowers and shit for her. Saw some parents coming in with flowers, all cute, with little stuffies and balloons.
Are
and
you
I
trying
was
to like raw dog the wedding? I mean, not the wedding. Raw dog the summer? No, you never got a summer camp.
So I know nothing's lined up. I'm really waiting last minute here. At the beginning, I might have to raw dog the beginning of summer. But like, my husband needs to too. If I gotta do it, he needs to do it too. We gotta take turns.
Yeah.
Even though, like, oh man, I like working in the house by myself a lot. Like, I like working alone.
Yeah.
The only time I ever get the house to myself, I'm working, but it's nice to not have to.
Be on mommy call.
Yeah, because then once they get home, I'm lucky to have them be able to come home and not have to stay in school later. But I still have to kind of, do the thing. I have to do the mom thing sometimes when I hear them
mom stare?
fighting, and I have to go in there and mom stare. I got a mom yell. But anyways, we are so thankful that you're here listening to us and hanging out with us and smoking with us. We got a couple of good news stories coming up for you.
we're mostly thankful. Well, not mostly, but especially thankful
Yeah,
to our
to our
patrons,
patrons,
to our homies, to our girls. Thank you. We keep doing this for you guys.
we do.
You guys really encourage us to keep it going.
For sure. And hey, we enjoy feedback. If you guys enjoy the show, if there's certain parts of it that you enjoy the most,
Sorry,
smokes
smokes getting in your face.
if
It's the problem
you-
with Jay's.
I know, right? And then we have to kind of not make a lot of noise in here, so we shut everything down. But hey, look, I don't know where we were. I forgot where I was at, but thank you to patrons. Hey, you could be a patron too. Oh, with the feedback, yeah, like let us know what you like of the show, what you want more of, what you want less of. Interview every other week. Is that cool?
Yeah, I
Let
think
us
it's been
know.
going well. We've gotten some good feedback. One person told us they didn't like it, but
Yeah,
since that person, we've heard good stuff. So I think everybody's enjoying being able to get weekly content now
yeah,
instead of it being bi-weekly, and it's made things a little easier on us, I think, as well, by doing the separate interview series,
right.
because it's hard. We be like full-time moms,
Yeah,
full-time work employees.
right.
You know, we have lifing, and then we're trying to do the podcast on top of that. So
Yeah.
I think it's working out.
Yeah, hey, and
Tell your friends to listen to us though, because we need to up them.
yeah, we want to get more
plays.
people in here. We want to do more things too in the future. Do some game show situations, but we need you guys
We're
to
trying to
tell
come
the
up with an
people.
event to do. We're thinking, should we do another bud crawl in Tampa, or should we do some other kind of event? Like, you know, what do you want to see from us? Like,
Yeah.
what would you come out to and like to do an in-person event here locally, somewhere in Florida, either Miami or Tampa? We're down to go to Tampa.
Yeah. Let us know.
We want to go see one of our patrons out there.
Yeah. Throw the party out in Tampa, which I will be next weekend. I will be in the
Ah.
Tampa area.
That's right.
Actually, we celebrating the Brooksville grand opening of the, I think, 100th.
200th.
200th. Damn.
200th store.
200th True Leaf store opening. So we'll be there, taking a trip out there, hanging around. So if you're in the Brooksville
I wish
area,
I could be going, but I'll be in Rome.
oh, okay. That's gonna be wicked fun. But yeah, I get you.
You're looking for an easy way to support our podcast, just make sure you give us a rate, a review, a share, a comment. Any of those little things are very helpful, and we would much appreciate it, especially since we are censored so highly on social media. The only way people see our page is when you guys interact. So please, we really appreciate when you guys do that. I think we're ready to go into News Nugs, right?
Let's do it.
News Nugs, where we get high and read the news to you. Did it cut off?
I don't know. I never really know with these things. Technology.
All right, so we got a few stories for News Nugs. The first one is like the first official news story, but the other two are more fun stories, okay? So the first one is federal health officials discuss marijuana research and rescheduling implications, but DEA canceled scheduled appearance.
Yeah, the most important part of that equation.
So, officials from multiple federal health agencies took part in a conference this week to discuss the state of marijuana science and policy considerations for researchers navigating cannabis studies undergoing prohibition, with a focus on the potential of cannabinoids and terpenes to treat pain. The event, organized by the National Center for Complementary and Integrative Health, that's NCCIH, brought together a number of agencies at a critical time as the administration moves to reclassify cannabis under federal law. Absent from the meeting, however, was the Drug Enforcement Administration, the DEA, official who was scheduled to discuss cannabis policy and regulatory oversight issues for cannabinoid research. Greg Hopp, Deputy Director of the NCCIH's Division of Extramural Research, called the Justice Department's recent proposal to move marijuana from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3 under the Controlled Substances Act the obvious elephant in the room for the federal researchers. Asked about the reform, Asked about what the reform would mean for those interested in studying cannabis, he said, "We don't know, I guess, is the right answer."
Is the answer.
Is the answer, right?
While supporters and congressional researchers have repeatedly discussed how a Schedule 3 reclassification would free up study barriers associated with Schedule 1 drugs, Hop said for now, nothing has happened. And nothing has changed in the early phases of the rulemaking process. We are still in the exact same regulatory environment today as we were when this was announced, and it will take at least a year for this to actually change, she said at the Tuesday meeting, adding that it's still an open question as to whether the Schedule 3 designation could finally allow researchers to access cannabis from straight licensed dispensaries for study purposes. Just fucking make it legal, bro.
It's like, why reschedule? Just
Fuck,
deschedule,
dude.
legal, completely legal.
Fuck, dude. I guess it depends on how they write the rule, he said. David Shurtleff, deputy director of NCCIH, said the agency remains very hopeful that rescheduling will happen.
Oh my goodness. So anything that moves research quicker. We talked about this a teeny bit with Liz Thompson. We'll talk about that later. But anything that moves research quicker, faster, better, we're all for. And we just hope that this will make life easier for our researchers, he said. We just don't yet know what this regulation will bring in terms of ability to bring research quicker, better, faster. But again, we're very hopeful. But nonetheless, regardless of what the scheduling is, NCCIH is still interested in studying the cannabis plant. Jennifer Hobben, Director of Office of Science Policy and Communications at the National Institute on Drug Abuse, NIDA. These names are so long. Also weighed on the cannabis access issue, calling it another challenge that scientists continue to face restrictions on obtaining marijuana from state markets due to current federal rules. It is limiting our understanding of these products and their health effects, she said, echoing points that NIDA director Nor Volkow has made in the past. Yeah, we talked about this with Liz Thompson and how frustrating it is that, we can all go buy weed, but there's not even really easy access to do research on the products we are actually buying.
Right. A DEA official was scheduled to participate in a panel with other federal agencies, but the moderator said they canceled at the last moment. However, DEA's William Hewitt did pass along a message to attendees that the agency's goal is to support researchers as they navigate this registration process. To study Schedule 1 drugs like cannabis, and outreach is a key component of their model to provide that support, according to the moderator. Marijuana Moment reached out to DEA for clarity on the reason for the DEA official's absence from the scheduled appearance, but a representative was not immediately available. Meanwhile, Angela Arnsdorf of NCCIH broadly discussed the year-over-year increase in federally funded marijuana research and said that one thing that we're trying to do is figure out how we could work across the NIH to continue this trajectory of the therapeutic potential of research going up. Other federal agencies that participated in the event include the National Eye Institute, the National Institute of Mental Health, National Institute of Neurological Disorders and Stroke, NINDS, National Institute of Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism, National Cancer Institute, and National Institute on Aging, and National Institute of Dental and Craniofacial Research.
A lot of
It's a lot of institutes.
a lot of national institutes there. Yeah. But the DEA couldn't make it. One of the most important ones.
Yeah, one of the key components.
He got high and forgot. Okay.
Got high on the stash.
He's like, oh, let me test this out myself. So Shurtleff, the NCCIH deputy director, said that it was really heartening to see that other institutes see potential in studying cannabis for its therapeutic benefits, particularly in the minor cannabinoids. It's really nice to see all this taking place at the NIH now that we're starting to see changes in scheduling and other aspects that may make research easier across the NIH. And finally, just to continue the effort and continue the momentum, he said. Last year, NIH established a resource center for cannabis and cannabinoid research aimed at helping scientists overcome barriers to studying cannabis under federal prohibition. NCCIH will provide $1 million in total costs during fiscal year 2025 to fund the center. while NIDA and NIA, these national institutes, will each contribute 100,000 in co-funding, and NCI will provide 200,000. Separately, NCI recently awarded researchers 3.2 million to study the effects of using cannabis while receiving immunotherapy for cancer treatment.
More research in recent years has also focused on cannabinoids beyond THC and CBD. For example, a literature review in the journal Molecules earlier this year focused on the collaborative interactions of various chemical compounds in marijuana, including cannabinoids, terpenes, and flavonoids, arguing that a better understanding of the components' combined effects is crucial for unraveling cannabis's complete therapeutic potential. Despite obstacles to studying controlled substances, research has ticked up amid the growing legalization movement. According to analysis by the advocacy group Normal at the end of last year, scientists have published more than 32,000 marijuana studies over the past decade, with some recent years setting records for research.
Yeah, because even though it's still they've opened up access to research, making it a little easier to research over the last decade,
Yeah.
even though it's still really hard. So yeah, we are gonna talk to We're gonna tease her interview later, but Liz Thompson, we talked a little bit about that because she's currently doing a clinical trial for the NFL. So
yeah, and she's got so many hurdles to have to overcome
for real.
for that research she's doing.
So our next story is something a little fun for our travelers. And, a lot of these were kind of obvious or like, when I was looking at this article. But, here are
Stuff we've confessed to already.
high five low key ways to get lit while you're traveling. So if you're traveling, you may need some discreet ways to get high. And their first recommendation is rapid release edibles. Edibles are growing in popularity, but typically less popular compared to smoking as a delivery method because of the long onset of effects and unpredictability, for sure. So unpredictable. Today, many companies employ nanoemulsion emulsion technology.
Sound like
Nanoemulsion
Matt Perry.
technology in the development of their products to speed up the effects. Cannabinoids are broken into tiny particles around 100 nanometers in size, making them more easily absorbed by the body as they can pass through the blood-brain barrier faster. Dosing is much easier in the regulated adult use era, and you can calculate and predict your high within 5 milligrams dose increments of THC. There's no smell and they kick in fast. So that's how they do it. That's how they make it more fast acting.
Yeah, the nano gels. Those are always an RSO too.
That's why they're called nano.
Nano gels.
I was like, I've always wondered why.
Yeah, they're pretty fast. They're pretty quick. Even liquids, they've made it pretty quick. I mean, technology. Vape pens is another technology that we rely on when traveling. You won't always have a suitable place to grind up herb and pack a bowl or a bong, so travel sometimes calls for the use of vape pens. Work sometimes calls for the use of vape pens.
Going to the grocery store.
Going to the grocery store. From being existing in public spaces, sometimes it requires the use of a vape pen. On the smell scale, most vape pens produce quite a bit less odor than smoking joints, pipes, or blunts. The weak vapor odors tend to dissipate quickly in, say, a hotel room, especially when the concentrate is encased in a cart. Dry flower vaporizer smells are even harder to detect after a few moments. The exceptions to this include sticky live resin, rosin, and various solventless pens and devices that are loud, pungent, and can also blow your cover. But you won't have the smoky smell from combustion.
True. Yeah.
Yeah, we rely on those a lot.
So the other one is toke on the go.
What?
So this is pretty much the only feasible way to smoke dry flower if you're, say, backpacking through Europe or hiking in the mountains. Dugouts, batters, the original Sneak-a-Toke, knockoffs, and other travel devices are great when you have to stick a pipe in your pocket. Little one hitters, yeah. A dugout is a compact storage device.
Compact. I like how you're about to get fancy with that word. Compact storage device.
Compact storage device designed to hold a small amount of pot and a one-hitter pipe.
Yeah, they have a picture as an there's a couple of pictures as examples that we're going to be throwing up. They have a compartment to store a bowl. Okay, and then they have a compartment to store a small bowl-sized amount of weed. A batter is a small metal one-hitter pipe that is often included with a dugout. Dozens of similar products can be found today.
At various smoke shops across the nations.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
you can go to all
like,
sorts of-
you could like. I mean, sometimes I wonder if they're doing other stuff in the background because I'm like, I see a lot of smoke shops, and I'm like, wow, how can there be so many?
This
know?
is the example they gave. It's a
Oh
picture.
shit! Look, I have one in here.
Yeah.
It's this.
Yeah, that's considered what, a batter? They call that a batter? I don't know. I don't know this term, dugout batter
Dugout.
terminology.
I guess a dugout would be a little.
I know the one hitters.
they
It's
would
like when you could dip it in.
and then
Yeah,
just fill it like
exactly.
that. Yeah, it's like it looks supposed to look like a cigarette.
Yeah. So that's like perfect to toke on the go. You're like walking, or you just like they think you're smoking a cigarette or
Right.
whatever. It's made to look like a cigarette.
Yeah.
Next suggestion.
Capsules.
Okay.
That's one way of saying it. This delivery method is not quite as rock and roll as smoking a doobie, but is the most low-key way to get high when you're out and about. Nowadays, you can buy tablets with THC, CBD, and so on in microdoses or full doses. Capsules provide effects that last hours, longer than smoking or vaping. THC concentrate is often mixed with the vegetable oil because THC is not water soluble. Different THC potencies usually range from 2 milligrams, 2 milligram doses, microdoses to 100 milligram. Whoa,
Ooh, 100 milligram capsules.
You should take 2
I
of
want
those.
a party of that.
And yes, CBD capsules are clearly overmarketed, but also are helpful for people with specific needs. Try Rick Simpson oil capsules instead of cheap distillate capsules for full spectrum effects and likely more health benefits.
I want to try some RSO capsules.
Get a syringe and fill. You have a bunch of capsules. Even I see them from here.
Yeah, those are from my shrooms.
Get some.
I grind up the shrooms.
Get an RSO syringe. And I would like. I didn't know. This is first time I know that part that you could put the oil into the capsule.
Yeah.
I'm usually putting it on like food.
Yeah, you eat something with it.
Yeah. So
a little snackety snack.
Yeah, capsules. You know, I did try THC capsules a while back ago, and I felt like those were a little unpredictable.
Also, yeah.
Because I don't know. I guess you always have to
I never tried it because I just assumed it's similar to taking an edible.
Yeah.
So since edibles don't work for me, I'd never tried.
And that's the thing too, is like you gotta be careful not to do it on an empty stomach. It needs to like bind with something, with some fat, something, so that you can.
I have not tried yet to eat an edible and take digestive enzymes at the same time to see if that does anything.
I don't know.
Still
That's a
science
experiment.
Remember Olga recommended that?
Yeah. I thought, digestive enzymes, man.
To help break it down since my liver won't or whatever.
Yeah, I know. Smoking hygiene.
Oh, this is me. Smoking hygiene. The next one is smoking hygiene. Or you could just smoke and lay low. If you live in a legal state and have a place to sesh, you still don't want to be judged for smoking. Simple hygiene can rid yourself of the telltale odors and red eyes that can blow your cover. I think it's my toxic trait that I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck. I mean, unless I'm going to my kid's school or some shit like that.
Right. But like the eye thing and stuff does not faze me.
Fix those red eyes with some Visine or Clear Eyes. I don't use that. Smoking weed decreases blood pressure in places including your eyes, dilating the blood vessels and making them appear slightly red. Reduce the smell too. The skunky pot odor might linger on your skin, so wash thoroughly and add distilled vinegar or baking soda to your detergent to get rid of terpene scents that can linger on your clothes as well.
Oh, that's
my clothes
going a little extra. I do,
yeah.
Well, when we're in here smoking joints,
we're here like just covered in smoke.
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
I don't do Clear Eyes. I have a friend that swears that like when they put Clear Eyes or Visine after smoking, it helps, it like sobers them up. So they'll put it
Oh,
in
haha.
before they'll put it in before
have
they
the- yeah,
smoke.
I-
They'll be like, okay, they'll put it in so
That's
that
funny.
yeah.
Yeah, my eyes are. I use red eyes. I use clear eyes when I'm not smoking. My dry eyes are just dry all the time. Travel on high. Cannabis tourism is continuing to grow. If it becomes recreational here, I just don't know what's
Oh
gonna
my
happen.
god, we would have to open our dream resort.
I know.
Guys, we were dreaming.
Oh my god! This past weekend we didn't talk about being on the beach.
We didn't talk about it. Oh
No, we
no,
didn't.
we
We didn't
talked
talk
about because
about
I
it
saw it on the
leading
outline
up
for
to
last
it.
week, but it was about
Right,
leading up to it, not
it.
about happening.
Yeah, we stayed on
You
Hollywood Beach
guys,
in the nicest area.
yeah.
It's like the pool is right on the boardwalk, so you could just come back and forth, go to the beach, go to the pool, go to the beach, go to the pool.
It was great. I literally counted the steps that it took from Lauren's her
The
room
beach.
to the beach to get to the sand. It was 30 steps
30 steps.
to the sand.
Yeah, I mean, it was just us, and we were like smoking out by the pool.
There
and
was
we
no
were
one
just
else staying
like-
there. It was like we had the place to
And
ourselves.
then we were like, oh, imagine if we could have a resort where we could just like cater to our people here.
Yeah. Like what I was like, first of all, can you imagine if we rented this whole place out ourselves? There's 22 rooms there.
Pot smoking
You
moms
guys,
takeover.
If you would be in for like a fucking
Right on the beach.
right on the beach here in Hollywood, Florida, just steps to the sand.
Yeah, holler at us.
If we could get the whole place rented out, they were cool with us smoking the whole time.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, there was only one other group staying in the hotel while we were there, and they were fine with it. They didn't complain. I'm assuming as long as the other guests don't complain, the people don't care.
Yeah.
But they didn't say anything to us. I didn't know they had.
No,
to
I
know
think
we're
they
smoking.
welcomed
Like,
it. They were okay.
I think
with
they were
it.
like, whatever. They're not getting drunk and being rowdy, right?
Right,
Yeah, we're not a bunch
yeah,
of drunks. This is
right.
a potheads
We're
chilling
just
by the beach.
chilling.
What else do you do by the beach than smoke up?
Right.
All right. So now to this story.
Now
Travel on high. Yeah, because we're gonna open one. It becomes
If
legal
it becomes
here.
recreational here, we got a couple of ideas.
We got to figure out how to acquire one of them spots on the
Yeah,
beach
right.
and have an all-inclusive cannabis.
That would be so fucking cool. Yeah. And then everybody will be flying here to come see us and hang out with us. So cannabis tourism is continuing to grow. When you hear the phrase cannabis tourism, what comes to mind? A party bus with smoke billowing out of open windows? Yeah, maybe. Scaling the side of a grassy hill to get a glimpse of the cannabis promised land. Perhaps hitting a joint and then gently descending into a child's pose? What?
That's yoga.
Yoga. All of these are correct. Cannabis-related tourism has evolved quite a bit since the early days of legalization. When Colorado voters passed adult use in 2012, people from all over the country flocked to the Centennial State to experience something they've never had before: consuming cannabis legally. Early cannabis tourism experiences experimented with ideas which commonly consisted of taking patrons to dispensaries where they could shop, then providing safe space for them to consume their purchases, which was usually inside a tour bus or an outside venue. This brand of tourism exists in other markets as well, such as the craft beer market. People sign up for pub crawls where attendees can sample and purchase unique brews. Craft beer tourism also includes dinners with menus to highlight the flavors of the hops, tours of breweries where the beer is being made, as well as art gallery and music events where local craft beers are showcased. There are even athletic events like Beer Mile, which incorporates both running and beer consumption in competition. So what does that mean for the future of cannabis tourism?
There's so many possibilities. Experiencing the culture. Certain regions in California are known for their wine culture. Napa, Sonoma, and Santa Barbara counties draw millions of people annually who enjoy leisurely strolls through the vineyards, artisan cheeses, and well-renowned wine. It's a whole lifestyle. Similarly, Kentucky draws bourbon aficionados seeking the finest aged liquor. While still in its infancy, the cannabis sector of tourism has immense potential. The famed Emerald Triangle of Northern California, including Mendocino, Humboldt, and Trinity counties, has stored and rich history of cannabis cultivation and culture going back decades. Much of the production and cultivation of high quality cannabis, as seen with today's most popular strands, took place in those hills. While the stringent framework of cannabis legalization and the opinion of some who believe that cannabis grown outdoors is inferior, as if, has taken its toll on the economic viability of production in this region. The history and stories are unmatched. Furthermore, the craft, legacy genetics, and regenerative cultivation techniques applied by farmers in the Emerald Triangle produce cannabinoids and terpene profiles that are complex, therapeutic, and unique to the region. Here's a tip. The next time you visit your local California dispensary, ask for something grown outdoors in the Emerald Triangle. You're welcome.
You know, I would love
I
to
would
try
love that.
outdoor grown. Yes.
Yes, I feel like that's how cannabis is meant to be grown, and like the sun
So
is
hard, though.
healing. Like it has to be the most. It's also more sustainable. Like we're running all these indoor grows with all this lighting and ventilation and all this stuff. You know, it's so much power when you could just have it outside with the freaking sun. Obviously, it's completely different animal growing outdoors because you don't have the ability to have only just
Controlled.
sunlight,
Yeah.
you know, and then only darkness, and then like the possibility of
It's a
pests,
wild card. Yeah.
you know,
Pests. Right.
stuff like that. But that's how cannabis is meant to be grown outside. So yeah, farm tours, farmers markets, and cannabis farm to table style dinners are just some of the offerings that could be featured in a cannabis tourism. Oh yes, that would be amazing. However, regulatory barriers like not allowing farmers to sell directly to the consumer are making it difficult to establish a tasting room in a small towns that dot Highway 101 have limited the realization of culture-driven cannabis tourism. Yeah, that's not fair. Like microbreweries or like little breweries, they can just people can sell
Make their own stuff, and like we can't grow our own shit and
share it and be like, hey, like farmers market, like you
I
say.
know. Wellness focused cannabis yoga was one of the first wellness activities to overtly pair wellness with consumption. Truthfully, many of us have been getting high before experiencing yoga, massages, meditation, and painting for as long as we can remember.
Yep.
However, the concept of marketing these activities with cannabis only surfaced after legalization. While the places where people can publicly smoke cannabis are limited, even in legal states, opportunities to openly consume at private facilities like yoga studios or outdoor venues make them a popular choice among the wellness crowd. As the normalization of cannabis use continues, those offerings may be less in the camp of cannabis tourism and more under the umbrella of wellness in general.
Yeah, it should be under wellness in general. So, culinary delight. Pairing and integrating cannabis with food is a perfect match, even when many of us, while in the throes of the munchies, have some suspect food pairing decisions.
Mhm.
Yeah. I recall one particular night when I was convinced that the peanut butter and easy cheese sandwich I had made was a culinary marvel. Oh
Gotta
my
be
God,
stoned.
that sounds gross. Still, the fact remains that cannabis has the potential to enhance not only our appetites, but also the experience of eating. Furthermore, like pairing food with wine, the flavors and aromas in cannabis can complement food as well, elevating both the cannabis, the meal, and you. Ooh, I like that. There are two main types of cannabis dinners. The first pairs food with specific strains of cannabis to complement the flavors and aromas of both and to guide the consumer through the meal in the context of the effects of cannabis. The second infuses meals with THC or other cannabinoids, which puts the focus on a high that evolves throughout the experience. This type of cannabis tourism is very popular among consumers. In the 2023 consumer survey from the New Frontier Data, 73% of respondents said they would like to attend an infused dinner.
Yo, we should do that again.
Our dinner party was
It was pretty great.
It was pretty fucking awesome. In fact, one of Jose was like, "Hey, you guys want to do that again
Yeah.
at Hemp Mansion because that was really cool." And I was like, "Yeah, that was a great event. It came out really good. Everybody had such a good time. I loved it."
Yeah, I know. We gotta figure something else again like
We're
that.
talking about doing something again soon.
Yeah.
Is an infused dinner party something you might be into? It is more of a costly event, you know, for you to attend.
But sometimes
you're
people
getting
are
an infused dinner.
Yeah, but I think sometimes people are willing to throw the extra money in
for a better, more intimate experience too, because that was just like 40 people.
Yeah.
And it was nice.
And it was nice. We didn't have to fight to get in a line.
Everybody for sure got their
wait for food.
food. Everybody
Exactly.
sat down and got served
Right.
their meal. Like, it was a nice experience. We've gone to many events where you're like, yeah, they're
They
like
run
brunch
out.
or whatever. And it's like,
Yeah.
if you don't get there at a time,
or
it's
if you
gone,
don't
or
wait there and
you
get
got to wait in a long line to get it.
Yeah.
And
It
yeah.
could be crazy.
this was like a formal dinner party.
Right. Like, we're like,
Everybody
yeah,
sat
you're going to
down.
spend money, but you're going to you're really going to get something nice. And we felt like, yeah, we don't mind paying a couple extra bucks as long as we can get guaranteed like a nice.
And then after the dinner, we hung out and we smoked and we had music and stuff. It was good. It was a good time.
The future of cannabis tourism. Cannabis tourism once focused squarely on giving people who live in illegal states the chance to buy and consume cannabis without fear. As more states have continued to change their laws and more people have access to legal products, not only in their state but also in the neighboring ones, the offerings have shifted to include cannabis as a component of another activity, including cannabis in the context of dining, as well as opportunities to experience and learn about legacy cannabis culture. There are many more emerging opportunities in the cannabis tourism space. To learn about what's trending, check out the Cannabis Travel Association International at cannabistravelassociation.org. There you go. We should check that website out.
We should check it out. What does it have? What does it
Open
show
up
us?
our,
Maybe we could find. We're gonna
bud and breakfast.
y'all.
Yeah.
I like the idea of the beach club better. The cannabis beach club.
I mean, it's still a bud and breakfast.
Cannabis beach club.
CBC. The CBC.
We're the CBC, the PSM,
PSM CBC.
Oh my God. Yes, I want a cannabis beach club, guys. Let's make this happen.
Yes.
The problem is that, to get any property like that on the beach, it's multi-millions of dollars.
Yeah, you got to get some heavy hitters in there.
Yeah, it's like.
And it's also like you do have to upkeep. So it's like,
Uh-huh.
There's a lot of costs associated to
fuck yeah, there's a
running
lot
a
of
whole,
costs.
And
liability.
hotel, whatever. But what soon coming to you? Hey, what are you doing? Are you on our YouTube page? You better be on our YouTube page. If you're not, go check out our YouTube page. Give us a like, a share, and subscribe. And actually, you should hit a little alarm bell.
The notification.
The notifications button. That's what they call it these days. Hit the notifications. And that way you'll know anytime we put out a fresh new episode or video.
Yeah.
You'll be alerted.
You could be seeing all the smoke from my joint going into Dee's face right now.
Exactly. I told you to write this down and put it for the show.
Because you finally finished.
Three Body Problem with my husband.
So this is going to be a little screen time. We're going into Three Body Problem on Netflix. If you have not seen this and you plan on seeing it, you may want to skip through because we are going to go through some spoilers now.
These are the people who made Game of Thrones, right?
They are?
Yeah, I believe that's what my husband said. That's how he was like.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, right. Three Body Problem.
I thought it was a remake of.
I definitely know that there's two actors on the show from.
Yeah, there's two actors
Three
on the
Body
show
Problem. So maybe that's what he meant. Maybe that's what he meant. Not the people who made that, but more of the people who were in it. Anyways.
So Three Body Problem is on Netflix. It's essentially.
It's a story. It's a story of a lovely human race
that gets visited by aliens. But 200 years, bro. It's going to take them over 200 years to get there. Was it 200 or 400?
That's another thing. I'm like,
they're all like,
doing?
they're
what
flipping out. So there goes the smoke in your face.
This is a thing.
All right. It's a show. There's aliens coming to planet.
There's a couple parts. It's aliens coming, right? When you don't even get to know, you don't even understand that part about it until you're like 3 episodes in. But
I speculated aliens from the beginning.
Why do all aliens or AI robots, why do they always talk like this?
I feel like because
everything
they're using like a technology to be able to translate. I don't know, possibly.
No, because even the one that shows up, the princess.
No, I'm talking about the aliens.
Yeah, I don't know, but in the movies, they're always the other thing. The other being is always portrayed with this weird, calm, eerie voice.
Yeah,
and they always talk like this, and it's so weird.
There's just a lot going on. Like it had the freaking
The really smart
AI
people, what are they, physicists? What is it? What are they?
scientists.
Scientists.
All these basically scientists are dying or killing themselves all around the world. It's this guy's investigating and can't figure out what's going on. Turns out these scientists are being targeted. Later, you find out by aliens.
Yeah.
They're trying to like.
You find out it's aliens, man.
But okay, so how I knew it was all related back to the lady in China, the one that at the very beginning, her
Mira
father's
que esa tipa
murder.
jode. Esa tipa jode más que siete, bro. Fucking with the aliens. Oh, fucking. You looking to fuck around? You're gonna find out, lady. And then she backs up. She starts fucking with them. She starts to find out, and then like what?
What?
She's like, lady, can you tell us more about these? Like, what? Help us. Why
No,
don't
she
you?
won't say nothing. No.
And now she's all, yeah, mom's the word. Like, bro, that's why it's so frustrating.
This
for
is the
me.
worst review. Like people don't know what the fuck we're talking
I know.
about. Unless you watched
Unless you watched it, but it's
okay. But if there's what I meant is that there's a lot going on, not only between all the characters, but like the whole virtual reality game thing for a little bit, and like
right.
and that's how the aliens were like trying to get a message to them to understand why they're coming to our planet.
Right.
And I don't know how they decide who to give that game to. It's still very a lot of like,
well,
what?
because ultimately the game is to try to help them get a smart human to help them figure out their problem.
Yeah.
The aliens problem.
They're just trying to get smart humans on their side. And they're trying to, the game helps them determine
who's smart
and trustworthy, I guess. Because
right.
like they just killed that other guy. Remember when they killed him?
The
guy from Game of Thrones?
Right.
Tully?
Yeah. That's why. And then I was like, and then they used the lady to cheese grate the boat with all the humans on it or not. Yeah. And I'm just like, can you not have sent someone in to like take the thing you wanted?
I did not understand why they had to do that to that boat.
And then I'm telling you, the episode before last, things got so sad that I just didn't want to watch the show ever again. And that'll do it to me. I'll be like, oh, that's
ending,
it.
It has such a cliffhanger ending.
And the cliffhanger ending is like all that for this. I cried all of that the last episode for you to just leave me hanging like this.
And now who knows if it's gonna come back? How long it's gonna be? I really hope.
I feel betrayed.
It's been cleared for a second season because that nothing pisses me off more than a show
investing yourself in a show that doesn't come back.
And then it doesn't come back, and I don't hear the rest of the fucking story. That pisses me off. When that happens.
Some stories are okay to. Some stories they continue, and I'm like, why are we continuing with this? White Lotus lost me. I don't know.
I loved White Lotus. I don't know about.
I might be back if this comes back, but like I don't know. I was pretty disappointed there at the end.
I loved both.
Three body problem, more like three body disappointment. I have a problem with three body problem.
It was good. I liked it. I like
the characters were good. But then don't fuck the characters up. Don't let us get emotionally invested. And then like
the black dude that always wants to smoke weed.
Yeah, that guy's cool. That guy's the coolest one out of all of them. And then at the end they start trying to kill him. It's crazy. Anyways, don't watch Three Body Problem.
I like it. I'm gonna keep watching.
I mean, whatever. It's easy to watch too. It's not crazy to watch. It's not so hard to understand either, but they fucking let me down there at the end. Hey, but you know what never lets me down? This next segment.
Yeah.
I love you,
Miami. All right.
Here's a twist. Desantis
Yuck.
vetoes hemp bill
Yay.
banned.
Yay.
Amid anti-marijuana legalization push, fueling speculation over double standards and opposition campaign. This is interesting because here is DeSantis saying no on 3, legal cannabis is going to ruin our state, but then he
lets the loophole continue to exist.
He lets the hemp industry continue, which is
a
surprise. It was great. That's what we wanted. I just didn't expect it from him. So, as the governor of Florida campaigns against a marijuana legalization ballot initiative, he has, in a seemingly contradictory move, vetoed a bill to ban the sale of intoxicating hemp derived cannabinoids in his state. This comes amid recent reporting that governor
Governor Mon Demantis.
Governor Ron Desantis planned to block the hemp prohibition legalization in hopes that legislation in hopes that the industry would return the favor by financially assisting in his effort to defeat the marijuana measure that voters will decide on this November. Well, most of the people in that industry are against the amendment because it's not a good one. It doesn't have
home grow.
It doesn't have social equity programs. So DeSantis didn't specifically, but that's interesting that he's like, oh, I'm gonna help the hemp industry out, hoping they're gonna help me stop.
That's
like,
I don't know, I guess whatever.
So DeSantis didn't specifically mention the marijuana legalization initiative in his veto message, but he said generally that while Senate Bill is 1698's goals are commendable, the bill would in fact impose debilitating regulatory burdens on small businesses and almost certainly fail to achieve its purposes. Senate Bill 1698 would introduce dramatic disruption and harm to many small retail manufacturing businesses in Florida, businesses that have emerged due to recent legislation paving the way for the commercial use of hemp, the governor wrote. I encourage the Florida legislature to reconsider this topic during the next legislative session and engage with all relevant stakeholders to create a comprehensive regulatory framework for the manufacture and sale of hemp and hemp-derived products. Sensible, non-arbitrary regulation will provide businesses and consumers alike with much-needed stability, safeguarding the public health and safety, allowing legitimate industry to flourish and removing bad actors from the market. Okay.
While DeSantis vetoed the measure, he outlined a series of considerations for legislators to consider for future work on the issue. For example, he said the legislature should set standards for cultivation, processing, and handling of standards for cultivation, processing, and handling of hemp products to ensure the purity, potency, and safety of hemp and hemp-derived products. The governor said the bill at hand misses the mark to end that. The legislature should develop guidelines for accurate labeling, including cannabinoid content, sourcing information, health claims, and dosing instructions. His veto message says, packaging should by default be child resistant, and any and all advertising that makes these products attractive to minors should be prohibited. Additionally, DeSantis said lawmakers should ensure that hemp-derived cannabinoids are sold behind the counter and that hemp retail shops operate outside sufficient proximities from school, religious institutions, and other areas where children and families regularly gather. These shops should not present themselves as medical offices, and the legislature should consider measures to prevent the ubiquity and concentration of these retail locations in communities across the state, he said.
They're everywhere.
This is for real. I was just talking about that. In effect, DeSantis is making the argument for enhanced regulation of the intoxicating hemp-based cannabinoid market at the same time that he's urging voters to reject the ballot measure to enact similar regulations for recreational marijuana. But he's allowing the hemp industry to persist in the interim without those desired regulations.
So he wants regulations. He just didn't think this bill did a good job.
Right.
So this veto message was released one day after a Fox News poll found that 2 in 3 Florida voters, including a majority of Republicans, support the legalization initiative, making it more popular among voters than is the governor, who was actively opposing it. The survey found that 66% of voters backed the marijuana initiative, more than enough to meet the 60% threshold to pass the constitutional amendment under state laws. By contrast, 52% of voters said that they either strongly or somewhat approve of the job DeSantis is doing as a governor, a 14% gap in the support compared to marijuana legalization. It's a data point that calls into question the political wisdom of DeSantis' crusade against the cannabis measure. Like, maybe you should be switching sides, buddy. The governor has argued that the state shouldn't go beyond the existing medical cannabis program and that broader reform would negatively impact the quality of life for Floridians. Blah, blah, blah.
The Florida Republican Party also formally came out against Amendment 3 last month. That said, the state party's president and interim executive director, Evan Power, and Bill Helmick are both top lobbyists for the Florida Healthy Alternatives Association that represents hemp stakeholders. Kim Rivers, the chief executive of the multi-state cannabis operator TrueLeaf, that's financially supporting the Smart and Safe Florida campaign, said recently that she remains confident Desantis will respect the will of the people and implement the legalization initiative if voters approve it at the ballot.
Yeah, I think if it passes, he's gonna be on board.
Well, he has no
No
fucking
choice.
choice.
I know, but you know how like when they passed it legally before,
Sometimes they're like, we
for
have to
medical-
rethink this situation.
for medical, they were like, oh, but not flour. You know, like it took a lot of hurdles to get the flour, then the edibles, and at first it was just only concentrates and like vape pens and stuff.
She also challenged several other surveys that were released in the weeks since the Florida Supreme Court cleared the initiative for ballot placement. She reiterated that internal polls show the measure passing with a comfortable margin. Smart and Safe Florida separately announced in March that it was working to form a coalition of veterans to build voter support for reform, and the campaign has since formally launched that initiative. The campaign additionally released an ad this week arguing that cannabis currently available on the state's illicit market is dangerously unregulated.
Those commercials were ridiculous.
Excuse me, yeah, they were kind of insane. DeSantis,
As you wear my highlight shirt.
DeSantis, take that, corporate cannabis. DeSantis also previously predicted voters will reject the marijuana initiative in November and argued that passage would reduce the quality of life in the state.
Oh, good. Yeah, we keep hearing that statement. Economic analysts from the Florida legislature and DeSantis' office estimate the marijuana legalization initiative would generate between $195.6 million and $431.3 million in new sales tax revenue annually if voters enact it. Those figures could increase considerably if lawmakers opted to impose an additional excess tax on cannabis transactions that's similar to the ones in place in other legalized states. If approved, the measure would change the state's constitution to allow existing medical cannabis companies in the state, such as TrueLeaf, the campaign's main financial contributor, to begin selling marijuana to all adults over 21. It contains a provision that would allow, but not require, lawmakers to take steps toward the approval of additional businesses. Home cultivation by consumers would not be allowed under the proposal as drafted. Adults would be able to purchase and possess up to 1 ounce of cannabis, only 5 grams of which could be marijuana concentrate products. The 3-page measure also omits equity provisions favored by advocates, such as expungements or relief for people with prior cannabis convictions.
Nearly all of the campaign's financial backing has come from existing medical marijuana businesses, predominantly multi-state operators. Recently, the Florida Division of Elections released a campaign finance activity report from the first quarter of the year showing nearly $15 million in new contributions. TrueLeaf, the main financial backer of the initiative, led the pack again with $9.225 million in donations during the first quarter. That follows a company previously contributing about $40 million as advocates work to collect more than 1 million signatures to qualify. Like, they're trying hard.
Yeah.
The company's CEO also said recently that contrary to the governor's claims, legalization could actually improve quality of life for residents. Despite his opposition to the initiative, DeSantis, a former GOP presidential candidate who dropped out of the race in January,
Loser.
previously accurately predicted that the state's highest score would ultimately allow the measure on November's ballot.
Yeah, he did say he thought it would go through. And yes, this amendment does not have all the things we want, but that's at the fault of the fact that we are trying, like, our legislators aren't doing a bill to make it happen. It's having to be done ourselves by the people, by putting it, not by the people, but people that can back people getting signatures, but by being a ballot measure where people have to vote for it. And because of that, and the Florida Supreme Court won't let ballot measures amendments be more than one subject. And last time that they tried to do it, they wanted home grow. They're like, no, because this is multiple subject. So they're considering the fact that is making it legal for adult use and doing the home grow and doing the social equity programs and the expungements and all that. That's too many, topics for it to be an amendment. for it to
Right.
be voted on. So that's why it's been watered down to just making it legal. But because our legislature would never actually get a bill through and passed because of just the Florida politics.
Yeah.
But like, if this passes,
we've seen them bring things up.
you
though.
could continue advocating for more.
Yeah, we should.
For those parts. But I don't think we're gonna get it through here in Florida any other way than
The
us
federally
first
legal.
making it legal ourselves by passing it this way with 3, and then continuing to advocate for those other things, for the expungements, for the home grow, for the
Right.
opening the market, to not maybe get rid of vertical integration so that more small
People can
businesses can be
participate.
but they're not going to do it, not with the Republican Party in this state. They're not going to do it themselves by putting in a bill together with everything we want.
Yeah.
It's like the only way we're going to be able to get it is if in like pieces.
Yeah, I mean,
Or we wait till a federal legalization.
I mean, one way or another.
We're gonna get you. We're gonna smoke that legal weed. Yeah.
True. However, it needs to happen.
It needs to happen. So this dickhead comes and chimes in here.
Rick
Our
Scott.
former governor and
God.
current senator, Florida Senator Rick Scott, says he'll vote against recreational pot after his brother's death. So Republican Senator Rick Scott, Florida, says he'll be voting in November against a ballot amendment to legalize recreational marijuana in his state, a deeply personal decision based on his brother's long history of addiction. The senator and former Florida governor said he watched his brother, Roger Scott, begin smoking marijuana as a teenager and then struggle with substance use for the rest of his life. People end up with addictive personalities, and so he did. Scott said in an interview, "It messes up your life, and so that's why I've never supported legalization of drugs." When Roger Scott died in April at 67, the cause wasn't substance abuse, but rather a life of drugs and alcohol catching up with him, the senator said. He had lived in an apartment in Dallas, Texas, where he served jail time in 1990 on a misdemeanor conviction of possessing dangerous drugs, court records show. This sounds like such bullshit. He died at the age of 67, and it wasn't even
it wasn't directly related to it. Was because
he's saying because of a life of drug and alcohol. Right. But okay, if he was seriously an addict, maybe if he would have gotten maybe help and stuck to cannabis, cannabis has helped a lot of people get off of hard drugs. Maybe if he just stuck to cannabis alone, he would have been okay. But this doesn't even sound like it was a drug overdose or anything. When I saw the headline, I'm like, oh, did his brother die of a drug overdose or some shit?
Rick Scott became wealthy as a lawyer and healthcare industry executive before entering politics. Now running for re-election, he lamented that his brother had a tough life and says it all began with marijuana. Scott's no vote on marijuana falls in line with other state and national Republicans who ask question whether marijuana leads to using other riskier substances. The National Institute of Drug Abuse included in a 2019 webpage that most cannabis users don't go on to use harder substances. But a statement from the agency also said using THC, marijuana psychoactive compound, may cause brain changes that could make a person more likely to develop an addiction to other drugs. Amy Gooden, who researches marijuana safely at the University of Florida, said studies have found those who use riskier drugs often previously used marijuana, but that research hasn't established whether marijuana is actually the cause for someone to seek more powerful substances.
I mean, you could say the same thing about cigarettes. You start with cigarettes and then you try alcohol, and then you go to drugs. Maybe even never tried marijuana. There's I don't know. So Florida's voter initiative would legalize recreational marijuana use if the amendment receives 60% or more votes this November. That would also obligate the Florida legislature to establish regulations and a framework for production and sales. Florida is among 38 states that have legalized medical marijuana and would join 24 others that have legalized recreational use.
What happened 25? To the United States of America? Why are we not united?
We should be all united on this topic at least.
Seriously.
I feel like most of America is. So many surveys have said it over and over again.
Yeah, it totally is.
Scott opposes this change alongside Florida's Republican Party, which formally
deal.
announced its opposition in early May, which we talked about in the earlier story. They contended the amendment would benefit powerful marijuana special interests while putting children at risk and endangering Florida's family-friendly business and tourism climates. I mean, it would benefit powerful marijuana special interests, but I don't know about the rest of that statement. The amendment's sponsor, Smart Safe Florida, said on its website that approval would enable Floridians to have accountability, transparency, and regulations in place. Among other benefits, this would ensure legal cannabis won't be laced with unknown and potentially dangerous chemicals, it said. Oh. Voters approved medical marijuana when Scott was governor, but Scott and the legislature placed tight restrictions on its use, including banning smokable marijuana. Cannabis advocates then sued, and a court agreed to allow smokable medical marijuana just before Scott left office. His successor, Republican Governor Ron Desantis, chose not to appeal. And I remember that. And I remember being like, wow, this guy's actually might not be so bad.
He might not be so bad. And then
he's allowing smokable marijuana finally. And that's when I was like, I'm becoming a patient.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I became a patient after that. And that be also because we started this podcast.
Right.
It was like right around the same time. Not like a year after
it happened. It's all about timing.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what's good timing? Next week's episode, we got a really good interview for you. Liz Thompson.
Yes. We had so much. When I found her page, I was like, oh my God, I really want this person on the show. Reached out. She responded quickly. We got her booked quickly. And I was very excited because I love football. I love weed.
And you know what? I feel like it's interesting because we kind of have gone through the journey and we have reported on stories of NFL lifting marijuana. NBA. Did the NFL do it too?
No, we talk about it on the interview with her now that everyone's here next week, how they haven't officially done it because they don't have the data, which is why they put up the grants.
So it's the NBA and the baseball.
The NCAA is considering it, and I think
Major League Baseball.
I think
MLB.
maybe baseball.
So then it's basketball and baseball are the ones who have gotten rid of the weed testing
for cannabis. Yeah.
So it's interesting because, you see all of that and then you see the science that backs the head injuries and how it's useful for those types
concussions.
Of concussions. So, and then, just having her doing this thing with NFL, having her doing the clinical trial is so interesting.
Really interesting. So make sure you tune in next week for that interview and meet Liz Thompson.
Yeah, and check out our interviews every other week.
Yeah, let us know how you're enjoying that.
Yeah, hey.
And now we've reached officially almost to the end of the show, right?
Yeah, we want to, do we want to put our bongs away yet?
Yeah. What is it? Ready? 1, 2, 3, go. It's time to put your bongs away. We've reached the end of the show. I hope we did that right.
Yeah,
I think it sounded
so.
good. I think it sounded good. Yeah. So it's very special thank you to our OG and in the rotation patrons, Yanni,
Destiny,
Lauren,
Christy,
Denise,
Peaches,
Meredith,
Natalie,
Angelina,
Jenny,
Catherine,
Jesse,
Diane,
Gabby,
Leslie, and
Stephanie.
Stephanie. Thank you guys. Thank all of you that are actually still listening right now. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you're still here, you must like us. Make sure you check out our website, rate, review, and we'll see you guys next week.
Hey, see ya. Have a good one.
Bye.